Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about Make Mine Music from 1946. And this is a winner of the Patreon movie review vote. If you would like for me to review a movie of your choice, then click on the link below and pledge, and maybe I'll be reviewing your movie next month. And this winner was selected by Rachel Wagner. First off, full disclosure, this movie was selected by Rachel Wagner, who is on the Talking Disney podcast, which I am appearing on. And I did need to watch this movie for research, and it very coincidentally won. So there's no strangeness going on there. I just wanted to clear that up. But it coincidentally did, which is good for me because I need to watch it for this and that. So that's cool. But anyway, this is the 8th Disney animated film and the 3rd of the Anthology films. Now, what were the Anthology films? They were about 6 movies, part of the Disney canon. Kind of almost feel like they shouldn't be, but they are. And that happened between the classic Disney period, which just goes from Snow White to about Bambi, and between when Cinderella happened, while most of Disney's animators were working on propaganda for the American war effort. They put these out to kind of bring some money in and things like that. Basically like keep the studio busy, keep churning out content. They're not the best remembered. I think The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad is probably the best remembered, although it seems that everyone's grandparents owned a VHS of a different one from what I've gathered. But yes, they're not really the most remembered, and a lot of the shorts, because they're anthology films, are basically just a collection of shorts made by Disney animators, were then cut up and put on VHSs in separate different orders or released on the Wide World of Disney separately and things like that. So it's kind of a weird part of the Disney canon. But specifically with Make Mine Music, which I actually watched on VHS, my grandparents, when my grandparents died actually, part of their will was that I got their movie collection. Sadly, they passed away within months of each other. But I've had this for a while, and I've never watched it because I thought, oh, well, eventually I'll get around to it. It's one of those anthology films. And I had no clue that this is the rarest of all the anthology films, actually. And this was like its only real public release. They did like a Disney member kind of Blu-ray release, but if you wanted to like go to the store and actually pick up a copy, it was also on DVD. But I think at the time my grandparents didn't have one or something. This is early on in DVD based on the previews on this VHS at least, and I'm not exactly sure why, and I was a little confused, like, why this movie? Am I worried? What were my grandparents buying? What's going on here? So I started it up, and I was kind of taken aback by it because it opens with Blue Bayou, which I think they say is a tone poem. I forget, but it's kind of like this really nice kind of vibe of it. It's very blue. Obviously, it's the bayou. It's blue. It's nice music playing. Part of it was originally intended for Fantasia. Some idea of it. You can get some Fantasia vibes from this film, which is what I like about it, actually. But it was a nice vibe, and it got me into it. And as I've been watching all these anthology films, the Disney anthology films, I was kind of struck by how quickly this brought me in, and I really liked the vibe of it. And I go, oh, this is nice, and I got really into it, and it was a nice thing to watch on a Sunday. Fired up the VCR, which yes, I still have, and which was a present from a different grandparent. So this is 3 different grandparents represented in this one, but it got me into it. And as I was watching, I'm like, what's the problem? And I didn't look it up because I'm a good movie person. I didn't look it up. I didn't look up what was the problem. And I found out that this is an edited version of Make Mine Music. It's not the version that was released in theaters. And the original short that kicks off this is this thing called The Martins and the Coys, which is not in that VHS that I watched and is usually actually cut out of it, which I had no clue. Apparently Disney is embarrassed by the gun violence in the original short. Now, I was kind of wondering how extreme this gun violence would have to be, is I found out this short called The Martins and the Coys, which is what originally started out, and if you saw it in theaters. So I did watch it, actually. I didn't watch it during the movie. I watched it later. I actually, apparently everyone keeps writing that it was cut because of gun violence. I didn't find the gun violence too extreme. There's a bit of spousal abuse played for laughs, which was actually sadly common at the time. If you've seen like Nothing Sacred, which I think came out about 10 years before this about. That was like its main, like the poster was like a husband and wife being like, we're gonna fight each other. That's not a joke. So it wasn't super inappropriate for the period. I don't think it's like horrible enough to cut out and ban from all existence. I kind of don't like it in the movie, so I'm actually really okay with it not being in there. I really enjoyed this movie actually, and more so than any of the other anthology films, and I feel like if the Martins and the Coys was in this, I think this will still probably be the best one, but I think it would have sunk my enjoyment quite a bit actually. I'm okay. One of the few times I'm like, yeah, I don't know, I think you made the right call. I don't understand why this film isn't on Disney Plus. It's the only Disney catalog film that isn't, and I really don't have a good reason for that. After watching them, like, why not in its edited form? I think people would kind of like it, probably because there's a petition on change.org apparently that has less than 1,000 signatures. Maybe the interest isn't there, but I don't really understand, like, specifically, like, there's no Song of the South stuff in this in my mind. I think they're just being a little silly, or they're just like think nobody cares. I'm not sure which. I think it's a decent movie, and I think they should get people to care. It's like they seem to want people to care about the rest of their catalog and characters and IP and all that. So that's a little confusing, frankly. But like while watching, I'm like, what's the big deal? I don't get it, and I that was never answered for me. This does have very much Fantasia vibes in it. It's very Melody Time, I think, had more connecting tissue, and I didn't like the songs as much, which was made after this, which is the anthology films work in this weird way where, like, I feel like it's sort of like groups of two, where like Three Caballeros and Saludos Amigos is one group, Melody Time, Make My Music is another group, and then Fun Fancy Free and The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad are another, or they're at least similar. I think those last two, it's just like two featurettes basically. This kind of plays to me like a Fantasia follow-up. I know the original, one of the ideas for Fantasia was to keep updating music to it and have it like a constant rotating roadshow thing. So I get sort of like what that could have been had Fantasia sort of worked out the way I think Disney, it had been the huge hit I think he wanted it to be. But obviously, it unfortunately wasn't, if you didn't know. The rest of the shorts in here, like all the cats join in, which apparently originally had like some nudity in it, which is cut out, which, I mean, I don't know what it was. I didn't go looking for that, actually. That's the only other part that's cut out. But it has like this kind of cool pencil thing where they like come in and draw the kids who are then going to dance to Benny Goodman at the soda shop and stuff like that. I actually thought that kind of had a cool. This one gets a little weirder than a lot of the anthology films. They're a lot more literal usually, but this one isn't at all, which I thought was really cool. It's kind of playing with things. Also, Ub Iwerks was a special consultant on this, so that's probably pretty cool. Did something good. The two silhouettes as well, After You're Gone, things like that. The two standouts, I think most people are attracted to Peter and the Wolf in this, which is something you're like, oh yeah, Disney probably, why haven't they done that? And they did it in this one. And then the one that I knew from before this, and I actually had a VHS with it on it, so I was very familiar, was The Whale Who Wanted to Sing at the Met. That is really great, has some amazing water animation. I love the whole idea of the whale and this fantasy, and this guy who's drawn by madness to figure out his theory that it's not a whale who can sing, it's an opera singer or three opera singers stuck in the whale, and as well as this unique singing range. And I've always really liked that short and the idea of that short, and I think that's a great way to end it, and just a great short in general. I think it's a really wonderful. Seeing the design of that whale and everything, I think is really great. It has a kind of like light fantasy to it and an extreme darkness. It really has the gamut of what they can fully do, I think, with Disney animation. I mean, this was the anthology films are not some of my favorites, and I think they're probably the least regarded of the entire Disney canon because you didn't have the 9 old men sometimes. I think a few of them on this, you didn't, some of the shorts weren't always that great. I think this is the best of what it is, and I would recommend it if you can find it. Unfortunately, I don't really know what Disney Plus's deal is with that. I think it should be more available. There's nothing really objectionable. I'll probably let my daughter watch it at some point. And it was nice seeing something from my grandparents movie collection, actually, which I enjoyed going to their house and watching. So it was kind of a nice thing. Actually, this came with 2 shorts, the band concert, which is a classic Mickey Mouse short. If you've never seen the band concert, you should. I believe that is on Disney Plus. It's like kind of one of the most well-regarded ones. And then Farmyard Symphony, which I didn't watch because when I put this in the VCR, it was actually stopped at the band concert, meaning I think they watched the movie and they stopped it. And I just didn't really want to go on. I thought I rewound it, and then when that came on, I thought I'll stop where they stopped, which I thought, maybe that's silly, but that's what I chose to do. I would recommend this to you, but I don't know how you'll see it. I have my copy, which is pretty cool. I would have reviewed this sooner had I known it was such a rare thing. I really didn't know. So that's kind of an interesting find from this whole thing. The anthology films aren't perfect. They're worth checking out to see, an interesting period in Disney animation. It's not on the level of a lot of the feature films, particularly the classic period or Cinderella. But this one, I think, shows what these could have been. I think anthology animated films Heavy Metal's one. I think Heavy Metal is probably a better film than a lot of these. Not just because I'm a white dude of a certain age or anything. I think this shows the possibility and the interesting idea you can do with an animated film where you can have Peter and the wolf, and you can have the whale who would sing at the Met, or the whale who wanted to sing at the Met, but you can have more, the Blue Bayou, and you can have the silhouettes dancing with cool animation going on. And that's one of the things I love about Fantasia. One of the things I love about animation is being able to be surreal while also at the same time being literal in ways that I don't think live action can do. This is a very good showcase for animation, much like how Fantasia was, music and animation. So I would recommend this if you can see it, and I think it is the best that a not very well regarded period ever got. But I think I'll put it on again, not just because of the sentimental value and everything like that, but because I think it's a nice, wonderful, nice Disney animated anthology film, and probably the best that they could do during this period. So if you have seen Make Mine Music and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to. And this was a winner of the Patreon movie review vote. If you would like for me to review a movie of your choice, then click on the link below and pledge, and maybe I'll be reviewing your movie next month. Thank you very much for watching.